this on the right here. Classic Central Park racing. Just cruising, this dude. In the scooter, 6:30 in the morning, Sunday. All right. Some more New York City bike racing for you. Back in Central Park, CRCA, A field, categories 1, 2, and 3. Sunday morning, April 6th. What are we talking about today? 2 ways to win a bike race like this. The peloton stays together, you can win it in a sprint, or a group can get off the front in a breakaway. So what am I breaking down today? I have a couple clips. I did a good job today of being privy to moves and covering any potential moves to get off the front. Did a good job positioning for a sprint because nothing did get off the front. But I did not do a good job of executing the sprint. Let's get into the numbies real quick. A little bit over 26 miles per hour, 90-minute race, 295 normalized. Kept the chain tight. So here's the first clip, an example of how I was able to follow moves well. So this is early in the race, maybe 7K in. And one of the benefits of the club races are you start to understand how the teams and the racers ride. So I see Big Hit and Rockstar moving up here. We got Oliver 130 in the blue for Big Hit. Strong racer, he's rolled off the front of bike races before. I see him moving, Bobby's on it as well. He throws in an attack. I'm in a position to jump right on it, get in the wheel immediately. And this is an example of how I'm able to follow a move well without burning any significant match and potentially be able to get off the front of the race without doing too much work. And the other thing that I'm really cognizant of is because I'm part of one of the smaller teams, I'm not going to commit too much to a move unless all of the major teams are represented. So we just have 2 of the larger teams here. We still have NYCC, Lonely Hearts, Veselka, maybe one other not represented here. So I'm going to be hesitant about committing. This move didn't go. It's really early on, so I'm not going to roll through there. That's a good example of just through familiarity and good positioning was able to jump on a move well. Second one here. This was the best chance of a break actually sticking. So this is right after Harlem Hill. 20K out, Lonely Hearts throws in an attack, Rockstar follows. This is kind of the sweet spot of maybe when a break can go. Decent amount into the race. I think it was a hard push up the hill. So this has some potential. TBD jumps, I'm looking for a good wheel. So I'm able to identify quickly 141 there, Yop. Strong racer, aggressive racer. I'm able to get myself in a position to follow him really well. And still have to put in a pretty big effort there, get on the pedals in order to get into the wheel. Look at this real quick, though. Look at this on the right here. Classic Central Park racing. Just cruising, this dude. In the scooter, 6:30 in the morning, Sunday. Wonder what he's thinking when we come flying by. He's just rolling. But I'm able to be on that move well because of good positioning and of familiarity of how people race. So I'm able to get this sort of free ride over to the break. But within this is great. We have a bit of a gap. I'm sorry, I don't have a back camera, but we have a bit of a gap. I'm still going to be hesitant to commit, though, because a lot of the major teams aren't represented. So primarily here, don't see Big Hit, don't see NYCC. So there's kind of this little surge here. People are looking around. I'm not going to close it because those teams aren't represented yet. Maybe this is where I need to consider being a little bit more aggressive just because of how sprinting is not my strong suit and getting off the front is probably my best chance at winning. I am able to see, though, so you're able to see Big Hit was able to quickly bridge. Dave Jordan here was able to follow, and I am able to see that, get into the wheel quickly. So maybe this is an example of a place where I could potentially be more aggressive. We're going pretty fast here, though, so I don't know how much opportunity there was for me to throw in an attack. And then also, as you'll see, it gets shut down pretty quickly, I think, as NYCC wasn't in it. So he gets on the pedals there for a second, then comes off, and then I come off as well because the field is about to roll through. But these are 2 good examples of being in a good position, anticipating when someone might get off the front, and then following relatively easily. Getting to the final sprint. And so I did a couple things well. in anticipation of the sprint, but didn't really execute the sprint well again. And to break down what is left ahead of us, so we're just under 5K left. You can see where we are on the map, upper left-hand side of the screen. So there is a pinch point downhill on the upper right-hand side of the course, on the northeast side of the park. And I know that it's going to string out at that pinch point, and so it's going to be important to be towards the front at that point. So there's that downhill pinch point, then Harlem Hill, which is the most selective part of the course, comes on the northwest side of the park, and then from there there's about 1,500 meters left ultimately until the sprint finish. So I know that if you're not first few wheels coming into that downhill, you're going to struggle to make up positions. So you see people moving up here, and I decide, I was behind a lot of butts there. There were 50 people in front of me, something like that. We're getting within a few hundred meters, several hundred meters of that pinch point of the downhill. So it's time for me to start moving up. And so come onto the power here a little bit for 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Eden wind. Have to go pretty fast, surge up here to, 33, 34 in order to make up wheels. But my idea was, if I don't get into the first few wheels now, I'm not going to be able to make it up once we hit the downhill. It just gets too strung up and then strung out, and then it's likely that Harlem Hill is going to be too fast for me to make up things. So where I chose to position myself here was about 10th wheel. Last sprint, I was third wheel going in. Ended up having to do a little bit too much work. I don't think I was able to benefit from as much of a draft, and had no legs to sprint. So my thinking here was I want to be a little bit further back, and I was thinking about 10th wheel or so. So I'm kind of moving back and forth between about 8th wheel and 12th wheel. It's Rockstar mainly who's keeping it fast at this point. So they have two strong sprinters, and then they have 2 or 3 guys who are doing the lead out. And I'm feeling pretty good here. I would guess this is about 10th wheel, and we're coming into the downhill now. So you can see it gets single file, super strung out. Important to stay in a decent position, because from this point, there isn't too much opportunity to make up a significant number of wheels. So we're coming down the downhill now. Still maintaining this 10th or so wheel position. And I'm seeing the guys who are experienced sprinters right around me, which is what I feel good about. So 143 there with Big Hit. He ultimately won the race. Stalin here in the blue kit with Dave Jordan. Red Trek here. Always finishing towards the top. So I'm feeling pretty good about my position at this point. And coming into the hill, just because we're about 2,000 meters out, I know that it's likely that there's going to be a push up here. So I'm in good position, but I'm not kind of in a smaller level in a great position because I'm not on a wheel right now. It would be better to be on his wheel. I am out of the draft. It's not going fast yet, but you'll see here, Big Hit throws in an attack, and now it's full gas up the hill. And I don't really have a wheel, so I'm kind of getting pushed out here because I don't have a wheel yet. You can see it getting strung up. We're punching it up to 700 or so. And I kind of lose it there because I'm not in the draft. He comes through, and then I punch it once more because I know that this is the move. Either this is going to get over the top in a small group, or this is just going to stay together. But because we're so close to the finish, I'm going to have to stay on it in order to... I got to be up towards the front of the race in order to have a chance in the sprint. So I'm able to get over the top with this front group, probably sitting, 8th wheel or so. And basically the makeup now is we have 2 Rockstar guys who are on the front doing the lead out, and there are 2 sprinters right there. It's kind of a full-fledged lead out at this point, but it's pretty hard up the hill, so it starts to slow down, which is good because I get to conserve a little bit, but probably not really to my advantage because you start to see people who didn't get over the hill in those first few wheels start to surge up, and positioning gets a little bit more difficult. So I think the main things that I I didn't do right here, which I did really well earlier in the race, is knowing who's going to do what in this situation and picking their wheel and going off of it. And there are just a lot of people here. We're 600 meters out at this point. You'll see a little bit of elbows being thrown up here between Veselka and NYCC coming up here shortly. And positioning is just kind of premium right now. Like you gotta pick the right wheels. And so now here we are, 400 meters out, and I'm still not on a wheel. I'm still just kind of surfing. And I have legs at this point. Like, heart rate's pretty low. It wasn't that hard of an effort the last minute or so. And I could see, if I were to look ahead, Rockstar's on the front, they're on the left, and this guy TBD sees the avenue here. But for whatever reason, I chose not to stay on that wheel. And I did surge a little bit, but I kind of missed it. I didn't jump on the wheel right when I should have, and so I'm not in a draft, and then 3 or 4 guys come around me and end up finishing 13th, which is just the go-to. You don't know how to sprint but are kind of fit position. So yeah, I missed it right there. I surged too late. I surged 2 seconds after he surged by me. I should be right on his wheel. I think he ended up finishing probably top 5. And if I'm on his wheel, I'm in a much better position. Probably not to win the race, but to be in, to get a lot closer to the podium. But I'm just like a puppy dog in these things. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, it gets high speed. I'm there. I know that I need to be in the first few wheels. But I'm not doing a good job of making the specific calls that I need. So last time here, a little over 300 meters out, I just need to be in this wheel. I need to be all over that. And I don't think this was a fatigue thing. I mean, it was relatively easy after the hill. My heart rate's kind of low, all things considered. I mean, my max is close to 190. I think I just wasn't in the wheel. I saw that I wasn't going to have the speed in order to get to it, and I didn't open up in quite the same way. So what do I need to do? I need to get in wheels better. I need to, that's going to come with experience and also maybe a little bit of practice. So doing harder efforts and then practicing sprinting after. Keeping the chain tight and then getting the chain tighter. Simulation of what it's like for a sprint finish. But I'm learning. I'll see you for the next one. Peace.